Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
One of our callers wrote in and said, the honeymoon is over. His wife, a registered nurse, once fussed over every pain or every mishap that ever came his way. Recently, however, he got an indication that the honeymoon was over. He was about to fix the attic fan, and as he lifted himself from the ladder in the attic, he scratched his forehead on a crossbeam, and crawling along, he picked up splinters in both hands and cut one hand, replacing the fan belt. On the way down the ladder, he missed the last two rungs and turned his ankle. And when he limped into the kitchen, his wife took one look and said, "Are those your good pants?" It's over. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning! Happy New Year! Oh, thank you very much, and I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. Good morning, I'm Zeb Bell with Zeb at the Ranch and our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, serving you for the best of wintertime driving. And, of course, some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And, of course, our friends at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them, 734-6969. And Merry Christmas, I hope, was had by all at Gina's house.
We had a wonderful Christmas, and everybody loved all of their presents, and it was just a nice, relaxing day.
We had a wonderful Christmas, and, of course, we went over to my daughter's for breakfast Christmas morning and watched 3 young men terrorize the household with Christmas wrappers and ribbons going clear to a 14-foot-high ceiling. And then we had a call that my daughter-in-law was in labor and little Mad Max was born on Christmas Day.
Aw, and a Christmas baby.
Yep.
Do you realize that eventually he will hate being born on Christmas?
I know, I've had other people tell me that too.
Yeah, because he's going to be jilted out of birthday presents. And the only reason I know this is my daughter was born on December 28th, so her birthday was on Saturday, and she does not like being so close to Christmas.
You know, now that's interesting because now, like, my daughter was born on New Year's Eve. My son was born on the 4th of July.
Oh.
And little Mad Max was born on Christmas Day.
Yeah, and see, Kennedy, he was born on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. Oh, my. Oh, my.
Oh, my. And so my daughter honestly felt a little bit jilted, so what we would always do to make her feel better is we'd have a half-year birthday for her in June.
There you go.
Yeah, so, there you go.
We've got another man on the air that I understand always feels jilted if we don't get right to him, and that's our great Pledge of Allegiance person, Mr. Al Butler. Good morning, Al.
Well, Happy New Year to you, Mr. Bell.
Thank you, sir. God bless you. Go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Al, I want to say to you and Polly, thank you so much for everything. Especially thank you for everything you brought over, including that video. I love that video. Thank you very much.
Well, you're more than welcome, but I hope everything went well, and the football season about ready to wind her up, and boy, did Green Bay luck out yesterday.
Well, it wasn't luck. Let's call it what it is.
Wasn't luck.
No. Wait a minute. You're looking at it the wrong way. It was one man coming back after missing 6 games in a row and leading a team to success in very bad conditions, and I put the whole thing right there with Aaron Rodgers. God bless him. What a game.
Yeah, but I still say they was after him yesterday, and I could see it.
Yeah.
That's why when that ref called that one penalty, that was a good deal, because they was after Rodgers yesterday.
Well, how did you get the game? Because the illustrious Fox Channel local did not carry it. They carried a game that had a blowout, and I didn't get to see much of the Green Bay game.
Get the NFL zones is 701 up to 717.
I will do that, sir.
Along with the red zone.
I appreciate that. Hey, Al, God bless you and Polly, and Happy New Year. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, my goodness. We got to get right to the weather. And now it's anybody's guess. Is it Michael? Is it Gina? Let's find out. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Bill. How are you?
I'm
Merry
good.
Christmas.
Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Yeah, that's it. The last week of 2013 in the weather. Morning, everybody. You got temperatures in the 40s all week long. You're looking for a chance of rain and snow by the time you get to Friday. Today, clouds 42 for the high, 27 for the overnight low. And I started my fan page back up on Facebook, Michael Rogers Weather, in case you miss any of the information I pass on to you at Zeb the Ranch. You can go onto my Facebook fan page. Just type in Michael Rogers Weather, and it's all there. I take care of the weather for most of the lower 48, the Magic Valley of south central Idaho, and, of course, Alaska. You've got good weather for the last week of 2013. Further east of you, they're looking for sub-zero cold temperatures and one heck of a lot of snow, i.e. the Green Bay Packers weather, to be exact. But other than that, the fan page is back up. You miss anything on Zip of the Ranch, you can just zip onto the fan page. It is there for your convenience. Happy New Year. Enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you've got.
Hey, Michael, before you leave, please call me on my cell phone later on today. I need to visit with you. Extremely important, please.
Extremely.
I mean,
important.
It is.
I can do that, Zeb.
All right,
I
buddy.
can do that.
Happy New Year. Thank you, MichaelRogersWeather.com.
Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate it. Holy cow, let's not forget our friends at Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. Oh, my. Yeah, you had all the relatives over last week, didn't you? You had them over for Christmas dinner. And look at the gravy stains that are on the cover for the table. Look at the curtains, little Susie and little Johnny. They wiped their hands with all the chocolate candy. Oh, my goodness, you got a mess. Well, you won't have. Take everything in and get it cleaned at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley, the best cleaners in the universe. I'm going to go in there today myself. Stop in. Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. Also, I want to say thank you very much to SafeLink Internet. Wow, we are blessed. We really are blessed having Idaho's #1 choice for wireless high-speed Internet. SafeLink Internet, you call them, get on their program today, 677-8000. That number again to call, 677-8000. High-speed Internet at its best with SafeLink. Please tell them Zeb told you to call. And that's, of course, SafeLink High-Speed Internet. All right. Now, give us a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I think Gina and I probably would like to tell everybody that our schedule for the week is as such. We are going to be on the air today, and we will be on the air tomorrow, New Year's Eve day tomorrow, and then I will be off for the rest of the week. Now, that is for a couple of reasons. Number one, I'm getting ready. I'll say this. I'm getting ready to go to Salt Lake City University Hospital for my surgery that's going to be next week. And we're getting all the tests and all the reparations ready to go. And we're going to probably, weather permitting, take off on early next Monday morning and go to Salt Lake, and I will be there for the surgery that week. Now, I am going to have, thank God, and I mean that in all true form, for Gina Jameson. She is beyond anybody else that could ever possibly help run and quarterback my show. And her, along with Sharon Hardy-Mills, are going to do the program next week. So, Gina, thank you up front for everything that you do.
Anytime. I am here for you. And
Well.
so whatever you need, just give me a call, let me know. And while you are in Salt Lake City, I might be giving you a phone call, maybe possibly on the air, just to check in on you.
I wouldn't mind that at all, as long as I'm not on any kind of a whoop-de-whoop type thing.
Come on, that is the best time.
I can just hear it. Hello.
Hello. Am I on the air?
Yeah, well, who cares?
But we truly do wish all of the best and for the best possible outcomes. And for everybody, if you could just send out some prayers to Zeb and Deanne, because they could really use it at this point in time.
Especially Deanne.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. She's the one that's got to bear the brunt of all the coordination of everything, so thank you very much.
And if Deanne needs me for anything, she knows my number. She can always give me a call.
We've got your number memorized and etched in stone.
On speed dial.
Thanks, Gina.
You're welcome.
Oh, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. As Al alluded to a little bit ago, NFL schedule going into the playoffs is now set for the first weekend. My Green Bay Packers made it in by defeating the Chicago Bears yesterday in the last 38 seconds. Woo! Was I nervous? I hope to shout I was. And my son's Dallas Cowboys, they're gone. They're out. Too bad. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Want to say thank you very much to Valley White Home and Ranch. We had a lot of fun with Valley White Home and Ranch during the course of December. You know, we had that big remote, Christmas remote over there and everything. Well, Valley White Home and Ranch at 910 South Oneida in Rupert is definitely the place to stop in and have coffee in the morning and see your friends and kind of get everything lined out for the day. And they've got hot soup for lunch, too. Really good, fresh, hot soup at lunch. 50% off on all the toys right now, and they got buy one, get one free on select clothing. Whoa! And the calendars are in, too. Stop into Valley White Home and Ranch, 910 South Oneida in Rupert with Steve, Mandy, and the whole crew serving you. Stop in and see them today. The big story in the last couple of weeks has been the Duck Dynasty story and, of course, the patriarch, Phil Robertson. Now, all in all, and I'm going to say this is me from my heart, the way I honestly feel. I'll take the criticism. I'm a big boy. I can stand it. I think it was a good thing that this happened. Why? Because it really stepped up and stepped on the toes of the gay rights crowd that believes they can get all the rules in their favor. And not anymore. No more. I honestly believe, after this great big mess, if you will, with Phil Robertson, to which I admire, and I certainly hope, and I mean this also, that he and his family do not change. They do not weaken. They do not at all back up on their stance, and they stay and remain firm for what they believe in. Because as Christians, if you are a Christian, you have to believe that what he said was correct. Now, the press and the media have distorted so many times what was said and quoted by Phil Robertson when he made a direct reference to Corinthians 9, 1 Corinthians 9, when he said, "Don't you know that those doing such things have no share in the kingdom of God? Don't fool yourselves. Those who live immoral lives, who are idol worshippers, adulterers, or homosexuals, will have no share in his kingdom. Neither will thieves or greedy people, drunkards, slanderers, or robbers." And he has been taken to task by the liberal media and condemned and damned for what he said, but it's right straight out of the Bible. And that's why I admire what he said. He took his comments right straight out of the Bible. We all sin. We all sin. There's not one of us in the audience right now, myself included, primarily myself included, that hasn't sinned. But you see, the homosexual agenda refuses to repent of their sin. They refuse. They ask for acceptance and demand acceptance. And here we are as a nation, we're catering to less than, and I'm going to use this percentage because I think it's less than this, but the news media would have you even think it's more. We are catering to less than 3% of the population, and why? Somebody call me and answer that question. Why are we catering to a very minuscule percent of the population and being led by the nose, if you will, by that percentage of the population that leans towards the lesbian, gay, and transgender lifestyle? Why? Now, even the shameless and disgusting Jesse Jackson has got into the fray. And if there's money to be made with his Rainbow Coalition, if there's money to be extorted off of any event, you can bet your best pair of socks in your drawer that Jesse Jackson is going to be involved, and he is now calling Phil Robertson a racist for his remarks. A racist? A racist? Jesse Jackson is one of the most repugnant human beings that I've ever listened to and or watched, along with Al Sharpton and many others. And it absolutely is abhorrent to me to think that he has followers and to think that he carries weight with a certain percentage of the community. Now, I'm going to ask you folks in the audience to call in this morning. I'm going to see how many brave people we have in the audience this morning to respond to what happened with the Duck Dynasty. I'm going to ask you to get involved in this, and we're going to do a story on this at 9:30 this morning with Doug Napier of he's the vice president, senior vice president of the Alliance Defending Freedom. People are calling the Robertson family bigots. People are calling them hate mongers. But let's keep in mind that he was asked a question by a magazine reporter, and he gave an honest appraisal of his thoughts. Now, I'm asking you to please give me yours. I'd like to hear your remarks about this so-called flap with the Robertson family of Duck Dynasty and also the lesbian, gay, and transgender facet of our population. Give me a call, if you would, please. I'm depending on you to give me your opinion. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. And I want to say to Keith and Rita and the whole crew, just God bless you for everything you do, and it was wonderful during Christmas time. Thank you so much for everything. Don't forget that they've got the heat lamps, the extension cords, they've got all your furnace filters, the best in air filters for your furnaces, and they can help you with all your electrical needs, and they will. They open the doors at 7:30 in the morning, Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Happy New Year.
And the same to you, Kiltman. Hey, I'm really upset at you because I saved a whole bunch of brownies and sugar cookies for you, and you never showed up.
I was working.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Hey, I hope I could say this right, and I don't know if I can, but, thing is about the good book is those laws have been in effect for long before any of us were even on the earth. Okay? These are laws that we believe in, and despite what these people say, they're breaking those laws. We believe in these laws. We've been raised with these laws, and despite what we say, what we think, or whatever, those laws are still going to be out there.
Let me ask you a question right there, Kiltman. Hold on just a second. And to the other caller that's waiting on the line, don't go away. I'll get right to your call. Why is it that some people, including Bernie Goldman on O'Reilly's program, said that basically Christians are stupid and naive, those are his words, not mine, for believing in all parts of the Bible that are outdated? Boy, I'm offended by that remark.
Well, that's just it. They're not outdated. They've been around forever. I mean, these laws have been around forever. It's a matter of whether or not you believe in it. It doesn't matter what we say. We could say we believe in the gay and lesbian type situation, stuff like that, but that's not going to change those laws. So no matter what we do, no matter what they say, it doesn't matter what they call us or what have you, we can't change those laws because they're still there. They were given to us by the Almighty.
That's right.
And that's what we've got to believe in. And if they don't like it, they can't change that. Those laws will still be here for even after they're long gone.
I think that is probably one of the best analogies I've heard. They're going to be there forever. It's an entirety. It's not given with a partial acceptance. It's given as an announcement of what is and what will be forever.
Yeah, he just flat out tells you, this is not right. And doesn't matter whether we accept you or not, these are what he told us we need to do. And we've got to believe in it or we don't believe in it, but they're not going to change.
That's right.
And I don't care how many times they yell at us, I don't care how many times they scream, whine, moan, what have you, those laws are not going to change. They might be able to change some of the people's thoughts about it, but they're not going to be able to change those rules.
Kilt, man, I appreciate your call. I got another one waiting. God bless you, and Happy New Year to you. Thank you so much.
Too.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, the gay people can change anything they want. My beliefs are not going to change because I know that the Bible is right, and I might be the dumbest person in the world because they say I am. But still yet, right is right and wrong is wrong. We've got a Congress that believes that murder is fine. They murder millions and millions of babies with abortion. And there's nothing ever going to make that right.
Jerry,
there's nothing ever going to make gay lifestyle right.
That's right.
I don't care if you live a gay lifestyle or anybody else. Just don't put it in my face.
There you go. There is the key.
I never agree with your style of living.
There's your key right there, Jerry. Hold on just for a minute. Nobody is trying to come on this radio program or any other program and try to dictate how they want to live and ruin their lives. That's their own prerogative. But I don't want it pushed in the schools. I will refuse always to have it pushed as normalcy in the news media and or into the churches. I will never accept gay marriage. I will not accept their lifestyle as a normalcy to our society, and so therefore that's my opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. I'm entitled to my belief, and I will not waver on that. So they have hit a brick wall, especially now after what happened with the Robertson family, and all of us should stand up and say, if you want to live that kind of a lifestyle, you go ahead, but do not promote it to my children, my family, in a form of normalcy. Real quick, Jerry, I've got another call.
Okay, well, I think I've said my point blank. There's no deviation. The Bible's right to me.
Absolutely.
And I'll go by it.
All right.
All kinds of ways of creating legislation to get around the Ten Commandments. But the Ten Commandments are the Ten Commandments.
There you go. Jerry, God bless you. Happy New Year, my dear friend. Thank you so much.
And may the Lord bless your audience and everybody out.
All right. Thank you, Jerry. Real quick, caller. I'm supposed to have a break right now, but I'm going to take your call. I apologize for holding on. Go ahead, please.
Okay, no problem. Real quick. I feel motivated this morning in support of you and Phil, and of course, more importantly, and most importantly, my God and my Jesus Christ, my Lord, that this is correct, you are correct, and the gays, homos, whatever we want to call them, better shape up and better learn the realities of the Bible and its importance.
Absolutely. The Bible does not lie. The Bible is not outdated. The Bible is not to be taken apart, and here's some that we'll believe in, and here's some that we can throw away. I am sick and tired of these people crying for diversity and acceptance of a lifestyle that is not normal, and that's the bottom line. Sir, I appreciate it, and Happy New Year to you and your family.
Happy New Year's.
Thank you, sir. Travel Loop Supply, don't forget, 1050 West, 203 South of Heyburn. Oh, Jim, I'll tell you, there's another guy. I got to thank Jim McCall. What a nice person, and for all of his help during our hayride that we had for Christmas caroling. Jim is just absolutely, he's always there as a community event helper. He is there, and I appreciate it. And they've got everything you need, all your pipe insulation tape, and they've got the pink Bubba ropes. They've got your fuel filters. They've got your gas line antifreeze, all your power service needs. They've got it all. Your tools, your oils, everything at Travel Loop Supply. 1050 West, 203 South of Heyburn, 438-8730. Call them. They deliver the goods. Travel Loop Supply. It's time for the Capital Press Ag Minute, brought to us by Pacific Steel and Recycling. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please, let's listen to what the Capital Press has for us today.
Today's Ag Minute brought to you by the Capital Press, the West Ag Weekly.
Overcapacity in fertilizer production is likely to keep prices reasonable in 2014 compared to the high rates seen in recent years, according to an industry analyst. The price for urea, a common source of nitrogen, hit its most recent peak of $700 per short ton in spring of 2012 along the Gulf of Mexico, a common wholesale market. High prices have spurred production in recent years, and larger supplies drove wholesale urea prices down to roughly $300 per short ton in 2013. Production outages outside of the U.S. have since brought the wholesale urea price up to $330 per short ton range, but a major spike is unlikely. For the Capital Press Ag Minute, this is Brandon Tenner.
For more agriculture news and information, turn to the West's Ag Weekly, the Capital Press, and capitalpress.com.
Oh, and our thanks to the Capital Press for the Ag Minute, but primarily our thanks go to the Pacific Steel and Recycling folks at two locations, 320 West Main in Burley, and, of course, don't forget 1987 Highland Avenue East in Twin Falls. For all your recycling needs, please get a hold of them today. And like I said before Christmas, you know, if you want to learn about recycling and you've got a Cub Scout group, Boy Scout group, 4-H group, or whatever, just give Adam and the rest of the crew a call. They will certainly help you. In Burley, it's Pacific Steel and Recycling, 320 West Main. In Burley, 678-2321. Thank you so much. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There was an article in the Times News the other day that just absolutely, it made me so outraged that this man by the name of Gene Lyons of the Arkansas Times would absolutely trash in his verbiage the Robertson family for standing up for what is right, standing up for Christian values, and denounce them, call them bigots, call them hate mongers. It was a rather lengthy column that was dedicated into basically throwing away family values. And the last sentence of his op-ed was the tell-all of how he felt about the Robertson family and basically how he thinks about Christians, I think. He said, quote, caller, I'll be right with you. Duck Dynasty may be this month's right-wing cause celebre. Longer term, however, unapologetic bigots always fade into obscurity, basically because they embarrass people. Well, I'm not embarrassed to stand up and say I believe the Bible is correct and right in its entirety, not just bits and pieces of it. And so to this man, I feel sympathy and I feel a deep compassion for his unknowledgeable attitude. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Mr. Bell, how y'all doing?
Well, I'm pretty good. What can I do for you?
I just wanted to call and I got two questions. Wish you and your wife and your staff there a happy New Year. And I'd like to know what the hell is bubble rope?
Bubba rope is a tow rope that absolutely is essential to have in your pickup truck or your big trucks or whatever to get you out of the mire and the muck. And I've got a couple of them. I use some of the smaller versions for like my ATVs when I go up in the mountains and everything. Bubba ropes, honestly, sir, will get you out of a mess. I'll tell you that. They work.
Is it made out of a rubber or something?
No, it's not necessarily made out of a rubber material. It's like a very strong woven rope, and I guarantee you, I've seen them in action, and they are good.
Oh, I've been hearing about this bubble rope for a couple of months, and I've been wondering what the hell is it made out of.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
All right. God bless me. Happy New Year to you. Thank you.
Yeah,
all right. Thank you.
The same.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. That was nice. Yeah, I tell you what, I've got some of those bubble ropes for my ATVs. I swear by them. Had to use one once to get out of the creek. I was the one in the creek. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning. In the larger frame of things, the attack on religion in general and the family, is one of the main goals of Marxism, communism, is to destroy the family because they realize that's the fabric that holds the nation together. And all this gay movement is part of that. But we have a leader that has repeatedly shown his disdain for any public acknowledgement of God. Even when he read the Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, he took out the under God after one nation.
That's true.
Situation. The ACLU is founded by communists.
Roger Baldwin almost 100 years ago, and they have been winning, unfortunately, some of these lawsuits and forcing people to schools to take pictures of religious figures, Jesus Christ and others, off the walls, and even students have been persecuted for putting anything religious into any of their art projects and music and so forth and sports. I mean, it goes on and on.
Yeah, but wait a minute, Adrian, wait a minute. You make a really good point right there, and I don't want to pass over it. Number one, the fault of having students that have done artwork about Jesus Christ or have written about the Bible, as a question was asked of an 8th grader in Texas not too many months ago, what is your favorite book? And this student wanted to write about the Bible, and the teacher wouldn't accept it. Number one, the fault lies with us. The fault lies with the parents. The fault lies with the general society today that doesn't have the backbone or the nerve to stand up for what's right. Now that's the problem, because we're letting this minuscule 2 and 3% lead us by the nose, and you know that's true.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's gotten so bad that the military, can you imagine, there was a fellow that wrote entitled, and he's a chaplain in the U.S. Air Force, No Atheists in Foxholes.
Yeah.
And basically, he's come under fire tremendously. He was ordered to remove this article from his website and so forth. And they're now trying to, they just want to bring, they call the article anti-secular diatribe, and so forth. And it goes on and on and on and on.
But why are we not fighting back? Why are we not sitting there? And I know you are. I know you will. But so many people just take what they say, the left says, as gospel, that we have to adhere to what they say. You know what? I don't believe in the gay and lesbian lifestyle. I certainly don't believe in the transgender lifestyle, because God does not make mistakes. I'm going to keep saying that on my program. I don't believe in that kind of a lifestyle. I have a right to my opinion. I own this program. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to advocate for family values. And that is the problem right there. Not many people have the nerve or the intestinal fortitude to stand up and spit in the eye of these other people that want to stop a value system in America.
Well, we go back historically to Alex de Tocqueville. He was a Frenchman. He came over here about the middle of the 1800s, and he said, and I'll quote, "Upon my arrival in the United States, the religious aspect of the country was the first thing that struck my attention.
Yes.
The Americans combined the notions of Christianity and liberty so intimately in their minds that it is impossible to make them conceive the one without the other. And yet we see this attack on all of our Christian institutions and the gay lifestyle. I totally agree with what you're saying. People would just fight back. The ACLU needs to be exposed for what they are, and these other freedom from religion groups and so forth. If they want to have that lifestyle in private, fine, but don't push it on the rest.
Absolutely. Adrian, I want to extend to you, you've been such a great listener and help to this program. Happy New Year, my dear friend. I got another call waiting, but I wish you the best, and please keep on keeping on. Thank you so much.
I appreciate what you do, too, and thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a great New Year.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
I'm sorry, it's me again.
That's all right. Never apologize. That's all right. Go right ahead.
I had a scary thought as I'm listening here. Let's go back to World War II. Old Hitler had to go after the Jews, and for one reason. He knew that he could not control them or change their minds to his way of thinking because of how indoctrinated into their religion that they are. Okay? So what are they trying to do? They had to get rid of them. They had to say that they're all criminals. They had to kill them, get rid of them, because he knew he could not change their minds. So what are they, so he could control the people that he could and get rid of the ones that he could not.
That's right.
And I see a little of that going on right now. Let's not say a little, I'm saying a lot of that going on right now. They're trying to control us. They're trying to take away our beliefs in that. And all they want are the people that they can control.
I can't argue with the thing that you just said because it is control. It is being the dynamic force in the media. It is getting the ink. It is getting the verbiage on the 6 o'clock news. You know that as well as I do. And the media, in general, has bought into supporting and promoting a gay and lesbian and transgender lifestyle, a minuscule. And I think, Kiltman, I'm wrong. I'm going to say that I'm wrong. I don't even think it's 3% of our population. They'll try to inflate it and say 10. They'll try to inflate it and say even more. I don't agree with that. We're being led by the nose by less than 3% of our population, and it's time that we turn the tables and said, enough. We have our free speech. We have our value systems. We have the right to raise our children in the belief system that we have through our church, and if you don't like it, take a long walk off a short pier, because we're not going to change.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. The thing is, I'm afraid that they believe that the percentage is higher than that because they've got so many people believing in what they're telling them. Mm-hmm. It's not that these people are gay or lesbian or anything like that. It's that they believe in the propaganda that is being thrown to them or in front of their faces. And so guess what? Now they're part of that percentage.
Yeah.
That they believe in this stuff. Okay? And so we are getting farther and farther behind, and it's time for us to stand up and say, no, this is our country. The reason we came here is because of freedom of religion. You are not going to take that away from us because this is the only country in the world that you can still do that.
The left only wants one thing. One thing, Kiltman, one thing. They want the world in lockstep with only their liberal opinion.
Well, agreed. That's why they've got to control us. That's why they're condemning us. That's why the lawsuits and everything else are going on is because they're trying to control the Christian people.
Absolutely. I'm glad you called back. You're always appreciated. And again, double Happy New Year to you. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you, sir. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244-1866-927-4587. For some reason, it left me there all of a sudden. I can see Gina giggling. Give me a call. I honestly think that this story about the Robertsons and all the residual effects that it's having, you've got to keep in mind that they, A&E Network, knew the family standing of the Robertsons prior to putting a reality show on television. You also have to keep in mind this that's been shaded and colored over by most of the media people that are reporting on the story because they're not very bright. The newspapers and the different magazines that have done the interviews with the Robertson family are asking questions that were not portrayed on A&E Network. As a matter of fact, the GQ magazine article that was asked of Phil Robertson took place months ago. And I find it hard to believe, nor will I even try to accept the fact, that GQ magazine and A&E did not know of his remarks, his honest remarks, a long time before this. And his remarks were from the heart, and they were very sincere about his religion, about his family values, and about what he felt. If you don't want to hear the truth, don't ask the question. Thank God someone like Phil Robertson has the backbone to stand up and say the honest truth instead of appeasing sin. That's it. Instead of appeasing sin. We are all sinners. Boy, I've got a lot of bones in my closet, a lot of skeletons. But I'm certainly sorrowful and repentant of what I've done wrong. And I keep striving to be a better person. The Gay and Lesbian and Transgendered Society says, nope, God loves me just the way I am. Well, that's not true. When you're a sinner, I believe that repentance for those sins is necessary and to be not repeated. They can't accept that. Calls are welcome, and I appreciate the ones that did call this morning. Thank you for your moxie and your backbone. I appreciate that. Don't forget Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls, 733-4910. Oh, they've got after Christmas sale going on right now all the way through January 4th. You can save an additional 20% off TV bases, electric fireplaces, and furniture, and they've got 10% off any soundbar or Blu-ray surround system. Ooh, and a 55-inch LCD high-definition TV. Save $150, now only $549. Oh, run into Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. And here now is Michael Rogers' weather.
Michael Rogers from Michael Rogers Weather. My fan page is back up on Facebook. Just type in Michael Rogers Weather, and it's right there. As we work our way through the last week of 2013, we're going to see temperatures in the 40s all the way through Friday. We're going to see a mix of sun and clouds all the way through. There will be a chance of rain and snow on Friday, but that's way down the line. Right now, you got increasing clouds today, 42 for the high, 27 for the overnight. So, for New Year's Day, 2014, it'll be mostly sunny, high of 44. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you very much, Michael, and Happy New Year to you. And, of course, don't forget our friends at Quality's Electronics, 1730 Kimberly Road in Twin Falls. Great big after-Christmas sale going on right now. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, Zeb, this gay lesbian lifestyle is, I can't believe it. Here we've got it now. This same-sex marriage is right here in Utah. That federal judge, what the hell's happening to this country?
What's next, Fred? Are you going to be able to marry your dog? Are you going to be able to marry your horse? Are you going to be able to marry your family next door? You're lonesome, so you want your own family, so you're going to marry them all? I mean, how do we stop this transition into anything goes, Fred?
I don't know. That'll be up to my posterity pretty quick. I've done what I can to stop it.
Well, I'm livid about the sanctity of family values being trashed and thrown in the garbage by groups of people that just want to keep changing and transitioning everything away from something that's right, something that's moral, and something that's biblical.
That's right. God bless the Robertsons.
I say so, too. Fred, Happy New Year to you and your wife. The very best to you, my dear friend.
To you and Deanne.
All right, sir. God bless you. Thank you so much.
You bet.
I really appreciate the Prestons. They're just super nice people. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I think that man was strong, and he had his right to say what he believed in, just as gays have their rights. This country was founded on freedom.
That's right.
And the right to worship and the right to believe in what we believe in. And fine, let them believe what they want to believe, but leave us alone and let us believe what we believe in. It's just not right. The Bible tells us it's wrong, and it's just plain wrong. And to try to force people into their way of thinking is just as wrong.
Absolutely. You know, you said it very succinctly, and I commend you for your thoughts, that that group has the right to say what they want to say about their perverted lifestyle, in my opinion, but we also have the right to say that it is perversion and that it is wrong. And we do not have to lay down as a doormat and let them just scuff their muddy boots off on us and try to change us and silence us, because this voice here will not be silenced, and I don't think yours will be either.
No way. You have a Happy New Year and good luck with your surgery.
Oh, God bless you, and thank you. That means a lot. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
God bless. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. See, the left is so quick, like this Gene Lyons of the Arkansas Times, to bring out words like hate mongers, bring out words like bigots, bring out that we're hateful, and you know, why? Why? Because we stand up for a morality, because we stand up for the Bible, because we stand up for family values. Then the left, oh man, we can't handle that. Well, we got to go after them. We got to show the public in the media and everything else that they're hateful people. Why, they're just absolutely hillbillies in their thinking. Why, they're backward. We have to show how ridiculous they are. That's what they do. That's what they do. And they've taken the Robertson family in so many instances over the last couple of days and tried to just run them right down the garbage disposal. But it didn't work. America spoke up. Millions and millions and millions of people spoke up and said, wait a minute, back up. No, we support them for their family values. We support them for having a prayer at the end of their show. We support Phil for what he said because it was truthful. It was truthful, and it's right out of Scripture in the Bible. Now, he added words of being very plain, being very sincere. So what? Listen to the garbage on the left. Listen to the garbage from Cher. Or listen to the garbage, the filth from Miley Cyrus. Or the filth from Bill Maher on HBO. I mean, filth. It's time we spoke out. And I guarantee on this program, we will. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to go down until I take your call. Please call me. I'm going to go down a list of sponsors that we had for Christmas time, and I want to thank each and every one of them again on my program because it meant so much to me that they would take their extra money at Christmas time and put out Christmas wishes for all of you, and now also a Happy New Year. And I'm going to lump them all together, and we got about a dozen or so here. I'm just going to say thank you to People's Quality Packing. Thank you, Jimmy. AMI in Burley. Certified Pest Control, Joe Taylor, my buddy, thank you. Pro Paint in Burley, thank you so much. Golden Valley Warehouse, Butte Irrigation, Magic Valley Carpet in Rupert, the Mini-Cassia Chamber of Commerce with Kay and the crew, Redder's Showcase, thank you so much. Don't forget Vicky's Country Gardens, and thanks to the Book Plaza with Colonel Dale, Four Paws Bed and Bath in Rupert, Magic Valley Irrigation, and Burley Glass with Old Gentle Ben, Mad River Laser, Dot Foods, Dixon Oil Company, Barclay Mechanical, and Crane Service. I mean this, Fairfield Inn and Suites, they all took the time and effort to wish you a very happy and Merry Christmas, and also a Happy New Year. Thank you again to all those wonderful folks for putting those messages together prior to Christmas. We appreciate you. Calls are welcome and appreciated, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'll bet you old Randy over there on the Overland location of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers at Tires West, he is tickled right now. His Seahawks look like they're the team to beat going into the playoffs. But don't forget my Packers made it too, barely, by the skin of their teeth. They've got the best in tire values at all 7 locations. All your winter traction tires, all the tires pinned for studs, all the different tread designs. Check it out today. You heard Michael say snow's in the forecast coming up this weekend. They've got all the snow chains, they got the snow wheels, they've got all the batteries, and the best brake value promise in the industry. They are good. Stop in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland and Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Gina, you've been awful quiet this morning. You haven't jumped into the fray, so to speak.
I was painting the barn.
Oh, really?
Well, you got to kind of look nice when you know the boss is coming down today.
Oh, you got the boss coming down today.
Well, usually he comes down, and so I'm thinking today will probably be the day, but it's always nice to paint the barn and look good.
Okay.
Painting the barn and looking good.
I have never seen you when the barn wasn't painted.
It's a good thing. You would run away. Okay. Yes.
Do we have another call coming in?
Yeah, it looks like it's Michael Rogers. Hold on just a second.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll take it real quick.
Nope. He apparently misdialed.
He had one of those slip dials, huh?
Yeah, maybe he pocket dialed us.
You got any New Year's resolutions all set for tomorrow that we're going to talk about?
New Year's, I don't do New Year's resolutions. Honestly, I don't, and here's why. I always break them.
I got to throw this at you. Did you hear about this church in California? This really just made me upset this morning.
Which church?
Here is a church in California, in Nevada County, California, okay? And they put a sign up on their property right underneath the church sign, that says, this Sunday we're going to talk about this, that, and the other. They put a little sign underneath that sign, and it says nothing more than support our troops. And the county told the church to take the sign down. And
if I would have been the church, I would have said, and I would have called the ADF.
I will not ever abide by those edicts.
Why? Okay, so here's my question. It's a church supporting an American entity, i.e. our American soldiers, so why would the county have them take that down?
They said that they needed to have a permit to put a sign up underneath their sign by the church.
Oh, whatever.
All it is just a degradation and a denigration against our troops and against the support of our military.
I know.
And I'm like you. If I was the church pastor or the board of elders or whatever, I would tell the county, you just come try to take it down.
Yeah. Come try and take it down, because I'll have my lawyers be contacting you here in about 5 minutes.
And you read my lips, or my mind, I should say, because when I read this and heard about this, the first thing I'm going to do is find out if ADF is going to jump into the fray, because I'll tell you what, in this particular church, they had a very huge amount of people that were serving in the military, and they put that sign up before Christmas as Merry Christmas to all and support our troops, and the county found that offensive and told them to take it down. And in that respect, I say to the county, take a long walk off a very short pier.
Now, did the church take it down?
I don't know if they have yet or not. As of yesterday, they have not.
Okay, good.
All right. I got to run to the news. I'll be back in 6. Frosty's coming up next hour. Don't go away. Oh my, welcome back on a Monday, last Monday of 2013, as a matter of fact. I just thought I'd throw that at you. I'm not ready for the new year yet either, I know. I'm Zeb Bell at Zeb at the Ranch, and of course our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And of course, also some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland and Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
It's really true. They are always at your disposal. I just swear by their professionalism and their being there. I mean, you can set your watch by the time they come on the route service, and they're there to pick up our garbage, and they're gone. They're out of there, always at your disposal. And by the way, they got the dumpsters in various sizes. Like you made a resolution you're going to clean out the basement, or maybe you're going to clean out the garage. Well, get the dumpsters, fill it up, they'll come get it. Western Waste Services, all you have to do is call them at 734-6969. Easy number to remember, 734-6969. Like I said, they're the best. Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Also want to say thank you very much to some other really nice people on our program, and that's, of course, Joel Heward and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary, and, of course, they're located at 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. This time of the year, especially Christmas time, the New Year's, and if there's the passing of a loved one, it's just really hard to get through everything, and they have so much of a service to help you and provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort. Please get a hold of them today. Always upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Joel Heward, owner-manager, Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Number to call, 436-5636. I look forward to Mondays because I get a chance to talk to an old friend. It's not like a radio segment where you're trying to just draw out a bunch of information about certain subjects. I get a chance to talk to an old friend, and it's the last time we'll get a chance to visit in 2013. And I want to wish him a very happy new year. And that's, of course, Frosty Woldridge in Golden, Colorado. Good morning. How are you?
Well, good morning and a happy new year 2014, Zeb, to you and all the listening audience across the Northwest of America and around the country. And hopefully we can jump into 2014 with our boots on and our gloves on, and let's get ready to work and make our country better and all that is happening a little bit those supersede or do something better than 2013, and hopefully we do.
You know, I've got something to throw at you this morning, and I'm not sure if you're going to agree with me or not, but I am going to say this. We know what Obama wants to do. We know that Obama wants to throw open the doors of America and eliminate any borders and just basically come one, come all, we'll take care of you, don't worry about it. Have an open border, porous border system with his immigration reform. We know his lack of security. We know basically what Obama stands for and what he doesn't like and what he's going to try to step on. What are your thoughts looking at the end of 2013, going into 14? You know as well as I do, it's an election year next November in 14. This man has an agenda. He has an ideology. He's only got a short period of time to get it put forth, and I'm a little bit more than worried. What about you?
Well, I'm very concerned. One of the, I think it was Charles Krauthammer, just wrote a piece this last weekend that at least the Congress stopped a lot of bad bills. And, of course, you all know that Senate Bill 744 is the Amnesty Act. And that Amnesty Act, if it passes as it is presently written, and it was passed by the Senate but not by the House, would double legal immigration to well over 2 million per year. We're already bringing in over 100,000 per month from all over the world, over 150 countries. And if this thing passes in its current form, it would double to well over 200,000 immigrants legally, and that doesn't even count the illegal ones that would be pouring over the borders. In other words, it's a recipe for the loss of our culture, our language, and our way of life. And it's fracturing us right now in ways that most people in Idaho and the Northwest don't understand at this point, because the numbers aren't there anywhere near what they are in, say, Houston or Miami or New York City or Chicago or Atlanta or Detroit or San Francisco. But I can tell you this, it's coming. And so what we have to do is make sure that the House of Representatives, which is really the final close-up representation of the people, we've got to get House members into the House of Representatives that are going to stand up for the Constitution and for some kind of sanity. Because, ladies and gentlemen, if this 744 bill passes, as it is currently written, not only do you get an automatic 33 million, that's 33 million people will jump into this country in the next 10 years, but they also have their birth rates and, of course, the chain migration. And as I've said in the past, that could happen if we don't do anything and we don't get House members in there that are going to stop this thing and we don't get involved. The figures are, and this is documented, if 744 passes, we'll have an automatic 33 million immigrants added to the U.S. within 10 years, another 9 million of their children, because they have 900,000 births per year. That's 9 million in 10 years. And then the possibility beyond that for chain migration could be somewhere around 50 million people, and no one can get their arms around that. But it is beyond anyone's understanding of the massive import of humanity into this country, and the consequences from water to energy to resources to quality of life and standard of living. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you do in 2014, You must get involved, and of course I've given these websites out before, capsweb.org, capsweb.org, and numbersusa.org, and FAIR, FAIRUS.org. Those three organizations collectively empower you. So, Zeb, that to me is the single greatest issue facing America in 2014, and we must stop it if we are to preserve our country and preserve our way of life, our language, and our culture.
Why is it, Frosty, and I know you've written about this, I've got every bit of your writings stored away right behind me in a great big box with your books and everything else, but why is it that it's so hard for the American general public, our school teachers, our lawyers, our doctors, our politicians primarily, to understand the fracturing and the absolute devastation against our Constitution, against our way of life, against our language, against our value system, with these people coming in and fracturing all of those things I just mentioned so that they can have their own little niche. We can start this over here and we can speak our own language here. And the complete dissolving of what America is and is stand for. Why don't people understand this is happening every day?
That could be the great question historians will answer, and they will wonder why we did this to ourselves. I actually wrote a piece called Reflections on 2013, a Year of Growing Tension. And, you can look out over the ocean, and you can look like it looks calm, and it looks beautiful, and it's all the things that the ocean is, or just a lake. But if you look underneath the ocean, there's a riptide, and there's all sorts of things going on. And to answer why our politicians, the leaders who are supposed to represent us, and certainly Barack Obama, who's supposed to represent the American people, I really talk about it. And you can go to newswithviews.com or Freedom's Phoenix. It's published there, Freedom's Phoenix, and also beforeitsnews.com. And it's a question of, I think the American people think that it's been going, that we've had it so easy for so long that we just assume it's going to keep going on, and that immigration is always been a benefit to the country, and that it'll just continue to be a benefit. But that's obviously not happening. And I talk about it on the multicultural front. You have the two Boston Muslim marathon bombers, and they blasted their way into the headlines by killing and maiming and amputating dozens of Americans. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those boys enjoyed endless welfare, free education, all the way to the college level. We're living on over $100,000 worth of welfare. The one boy who had a wife and a child, and they would not have such freedoms in their own countries, but they decided to blow us up. But, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're importing just literally hundreds of thousands of Muslims into this country with no understanding of what their final deal is. But we're also allowing all of these Mexicans coming into this country illegally. And it just hasn't affected enough people yet to terrify them, because it seems like the Boston Marathon bombings were so far away. But pretty soon, those Boston Marathon bombings, there are over 22 Islamic Jihad compounds in the United States right now that are documented. They're in New York, they're in Pennsylvania, they're in Oregon, for heaven's sakes. And those people are serious. So at some point, we're going to start seeing the same kinds of consequences that are occurring in Syria or any of these other Islamic states, Afghanistan, where they blow each other up. Same thing in Iraq. So we're going to get it one way or the other, Zeb. We're going to find out and discover what this multiculturalism and importing all these immigrants into this country is all about. But at this point in time, we just don't seem to understand the long-term ramifications.
I don't know if it's we don't understand or if we're so doggone lazy we don't care. I'm going to say this. I don't know if you know the man or not, but I had Martin Moyer. He's the author of the book Twilight in America. He was on my program about 8-9 months ago with his book Twilight in America, which refers to and absolutely is very explicit about where these jihad training camps are around the United States, whether it's in Oregon, whether it's here in Idaho, Texas, New York, all of the states that you mentioned just a moment ago. And it seems like our politicians politicians are naive or they pretend they don't care. I mean, we're living on the brink of where all of a sudden there's a clarion call for the jihadists to go ahead and take up arms against us. Frosty, they're here. They're training in our own country, and we're so dumb and naive we don't seem to care.
Well, and that's about right. Again, it would take a coordinated effort of these jihadists that are already here that take out our electrical grids across the country, and they could do it. I mean, there's nothing to stop them, and there's enough of them now. There's 7 million Muslims in this country, and whatever percentage of them are committing jihad, and you better believe they are on target to do that at some point, just to literally take their teams and go out, and they would make 9/11 look like a garden party compared to taking out the electronic grids across this country and just wiping out our power systems. And our power systems are totally vulnerable to getting bombed and blown up, and would cripple us. It would absolutely cripple us. So, naive, stupid, is there somebody behind all of this? I don't know, but I know that the Boston Marathon bombers are just a harbinger of the kind of Islamic treachery that we are facing in this country and importing. We're importing it by the thousands every month. We keep importing thousands of Muslims into this country every month, and we have no idea what their final prime directive is. But we do know that Islam itself, prime directive is to convert or kill all non-believers, and that is the prime director of the Quran, which all these people follow. And so call it naive, call us fools, call us idiots, call us unaware, I don't know, but we're going to pay for this. And the guy that you had on the show, he even knows more than I do. But for those of you, I wrote a 19-part series on Muslims in America. And boy, oh boy, for those of you who would like to read that, it's very sobering, because what's happening in Europe right now is Muslims are just flat out taking over most of these Western countries and absolutely subjugating them to Sharia law and just turning their own, London's just a rat hole right now. It's got one part British and one part Muslim. Same thing with Paris, France. Amsterdam, Holland, one half of Muslims, the other half the Dutch. Belgium is being completely overrun. Norway the same. Sweden has all these riots right now. Everywhere the Muslims go, they create chaos, and that's their part. That's their deal. It's just a part of their prime directive. So we're going to see more and more of it in 2014, and it's not going to be fun for anybody.
Well, to go along with your point, my dear friend, and thank you for bringing up some of those validated points this morning, but Egypt, in the last couple of days leading up to Christmas, came out and declared that the Muslim Brotherhood is, quote, a terrorist organization. And I sat there and I scratched my head as I listened to that newscast, and I said, whoa, stop the bus, Gus, because our illustrious President Obama and Hillary Clinton, with the State Department, both appointed Muslim Brotherhood members to the White House advisory staff. What kind of idiots are we?
Okay, as a matter of fact, I'll give you the number. It's 8. President Barack Obama has 8 Muslim aides there in the House advising him. Ladies and gentlemen, if that isn't jihad, I don't know what is. When you allow Islamic advocates to run into the White House and start advising the president, what does that lead you to believe, or what does that lead you to understand? Well, the fact is the President of the United States has tremendous Muslim Islamic ties because he grew up in Indonesia there, and he was part of in Africa. Both of his fathers were his real father, as we know, unless it's that George Marshall guy, or I forget, Frank Marshall. These were Muslims. He grew up in the Muslim tradition. So, is it any wonder he may have faked it for 20 years at Jeremiah Wright's Chicago church, where he said "GD America"? But the fact is, basically, the man is an Islamic advocate, a Muslim, because it just shows. And we're so stupid, we're not doing anything about it. And I don't know what to say past that, but we're gonna see some of the consequences of that as these Muslims continue to grow in numbers in our country.
But what is wrong? Let me ask you this real quick, Frosty. We're almost out of time, but what is wrong What is wrong with people questioning? What is wrong with people saying, wait a minute, we want to have a background check on these people? Michelle Bachmann from Minnesota said that when she heard these appointments were going to be made, she said, wait a minute, I want to find out why and who these people are and what their attributes are that they can be involved in our government. And when she asked those questions, our Congressman from Idaho, Mike Simpson, sent her a letter of rebuke and condemned her for asking questions and compared her to being a McCarthyist. This is the idiocy that's going on in Washington.
Well, that's exactly right. And in my column today, if you all go to those websites to read it, I said to ask two things. Will 2014 get better? And then I said, this should foreshadow the answer. As Mark Twain said, suppose you were an idiot, and suppose you were a member of Congress. Ah, but I repeat myself, unquote. That really is the aspect that there is a culture of corruption in the Congress and certainly in the President of the United States that doesn't answer to Fast and Furious, doesn't answer to the spying on American citizens, the NSA spying, doesn't answer to Benghazi. We're not being told the truth about any of this stuff. And then finally, there was another Facebook writer who said, Obama is what you get when you allow idiots, illegals, and welfare recipients to vote, unquote. So we're going to have to somehow ride out, or hopefully be able to ride out the next 3 years of this really incompetent president whom we don't even know. He may be and probably is a non-citizen. And we're simply going to have to pick up the pieces once it's over. But it's going to be a lot of pieces, and I'm going to continue to report those pieces with you in 2014, Zeb, because the American people really need to know. They need a little jolt of reality, and you and I can do that, and along with the other your top guests, that hey, something's amiss here. It's not going right. It's not up to par. And it's not up to the American people. We're not being served, and the facts stand for themselves. We haven't been served in 2013, and I doubt very much that we'll be served in 2014. And all we can hope for at this point is that we survive the next 3 years of Barack Obama and this horribly incompetent a group of 535 scoundrels that are sitting up there doing more for illegal aliens and doing more for anybody else but the American people. And that's about all I can say about it, but I'll keep speaking up on it.
Well, real short question and quick answer on this. I've only got a minute left here, Frosty, but what about the November 2014 elections? We've got to get a big broom and a dustpan, and we've got to start throwing the garbage out of the house and cleaning up the floors, and I mean that literally. How? What about Colorado? What are their feelings? Are the people in your state starting to see, hey, we've got a mess and we've got to clean it up?
Well, again, a lot of people are just plain unaware and or don't care or simply rose-colored glasses. Both of our senators are really quite useless. I mean, Udall and Bennett advocate for illegal aliens more than they do anything for citizens of America. And so I don't see anything happening there. Some of our House reps could happen that we could do. I've been asked to run for Congress myself. But personally, I can't stand the stench of Congress, and I can't stand being around liars. So I don't have a feel for right now, but I'll give you more of a feel as we run into 2014.
Frosty Woldridge, God bless you. Happy New Year. And next Monday, Sharon will be doing the program for me as I'll be in University Hospital in Salt Lake City. Please call and have a good conversation with her. And God's blessings to you and your lovely wife. Thank you, and Happy New Year.
And Happy New Year, and the best. And hey, I just want to cheer the Packers won on Sunday, and the Broncos won, so we've got some big winners there. And on a light note, to each and every one of you, a Happy New Year. Sandy and I just send you blessings for the new year, and let's all roll up our sleeves, ladies and gentlemen, and let's dig in and let's make our country better, our state better, our community better by our actions and by our passions and by our caring for our country and our way of life. And I thank you so much, Deb.
All right, my dear friend, Happy New Year. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado, thank you so much. Oh, my, when you think about life insurance, I know a lot of people sit there and they put it on the back burner and they say, well, Martha, we got to talk about some insurance, and then you forget about it for that day. Well, don't put it on the front burner today. When you talk about life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, or employee benefits for your business, hey, think about the professionals that really know and can really help you. And that's Dean Cameron, Todd Siemens at Cameron and Siemens Insurance in Rupert. Located on Highway 24 in Rupert. Don't forget to call them, set up an appointment, go in there, and make sure you're protected. 436-4424. Number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh my, let's see what else have I got cooking here today. Public service announcements. I want to remind you, excuse me for choking on the air, that I need you to send me the public service announcements of anything that's going on with your church or your group or whatever. We'll try to get those on this program as often as we can when time permits. And again, I am going to be gone next week. Sharon and Gina are going to do the program for me. For how long? I don't know, due to the fact that I'm going to have surgery next week in Salt Lake City. And please, for any and all questions, just contact my beloved Gina over there, because she is absolutely going to be the weight of the world for us, for Deanne and I, while we're gone. So contact her, and she'll help you with anything, I guarantee it. Don't forget, great big January clearance going on at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. You can save up to 75%. I am not kidding, on all one-of-a-kind floor samples, closeouts, and here's just a few examples of what they've got. They've got like mattresses, plush top twin sets, regularly $7.99, now just $149. Whoa! And they've got furniture, sofas, your choice, $3.99 to $4.99, recliners, $1.99 to $2.99. Oh boy, you better stop in. No money down, no interest until June of 2014 on approved credit. That is Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And you be sure and get a hold of them today. Nice people. Just got a voicemail from Gina. And Gina, are you right there by the microphone?
I got him on the line.
Oh, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this interview with this gentleman all weekend since I got word that he was going to be on the show. And I hope I say his name correctly, and if I don't, I hope he'll correct me. The Senior Vice President of the Alliance Defending Freedom, Doug Napier. Is that right?
Napier, that's correct.
Napier, that was my next choice. Okay. Doug, God bless you, man. Thanks for coming on the program.
Certainly.
You are going to be talking about this morning a subject that I mentioned in quite great length in my first hour of my program, and that's, of course, what happened to the Robertson family in the Duck Dynasty TV show versus A&E Network's support of the gay and lesbian lifestyle. And to put it simply, from my point of view, I am so happy, and I mean this, and I'll stand behind what I said first hour also, I am so happy that this situation came about, because I think it rocked the liberal left, and especially the gay, lesbian, and transgendered movement, back on their heels a little bit where it should be, and let them know that we as Christians are not going to be walked over. Your response?
I absolutely agree, and I think one of the best things we saw is that people really understood what was at stake here. It wasn't simply about Phil Robertson's view, whether you agreed with him or not. It was about whether the fundamental freedoms that we have that are protected by our First Amendment are going to be recognized across the board. Is tolerance a two-way street, or is it give the left the right to censor anything they don't like?
You know, Doug, when you look at this overall picture, and I'm optimistic that maybe people will start forming a backbone and some spine and some courage, and they will speak out. Now, the left has called me a bigot. The left has called me a hate monger and everything because of my belief in the Bible and my belief in family values. But now, right now, more than we've had in the last 10 years, we've got an opportunity to speak up, let our voices be heard, and stick our chin out and be proud of what we represent.
Absolutely, and I think we're just seeing a small example of how that can be so effective, and it doesn't take a huge number of people, but it takes people who can be clear and articulate the issues They don't need to be flamethrowers. But they need to understand that, you know what, the views that we represent, these aren't new ideas. These are ideas that have been recognized not only throughout the American history for the last 220-some years, but throughout all time, that these are fundamental concepts of ordered society that are rooted in natural law that says when we do these things, society flourishes. When we don't do these things, societies fail. So we not only have it's not just our views we're protecting, it's really all of society. It is the strength and the health of America that we all believe and love. And so I think if people will stand up, take a stand, speak the truth, and engage in the discussion, engage in the debate, and not shrink back, we can win these battles.
We're talking about, and Doug, you are more knowledgeable of perhaps the exact numbers more so than I. This morning in the first hour when I made the quote, I said that we are catering to less than 3%, arguably, of our population. And here are the rest of us, 97% that are Christian, family values, etc., that don't believe in that lifestyle. We're being led by the nose, politically and also journalistically through the media, and we're being told how to act. And I think it's time to stand up and show some backbone and spine and say, no, we're going to do it the way we were taught and brought up.
Well, and I think that's it. You know, there's been a myth that's been put out there, one that the numbers are larger than they are. When we've done our own research, when other organizations do their research, America supports marriage as it's been understood for decades and eons and centuries, millennia, and that is that marriage is a union between one man and one woman. They also believe that children deserve a mom and a dad, that they're not interchangeable parts. And when you start messing with biology, when you start messing with natural law, you get some very strange consequences and damaging consequences, because marriage is not just about a loving, committed relationship. Marriage is an economic issue. It's a criminal justice issue. It's a poverty issue. We know children that grow up in single-family homes or homes with same-sex couples are not going to fare as well as children that grow up in the homes of their biological mom and dads. Those are just just fundamental social science statistics. We know that marriage is an education issue. I mean, all of these things that impact the things that everybody probably, I think, if you polled the American people, says, do you agree? Are you interested in education? Best education environment for our children? Yes, I am. Then you should be in favor of marriage. Are you interested in keeping kids out of prison? Yes, I am. Then you should be in favor of marriage as a union between one man and one woman. So you're right. All of these things are connected, and the majority of Americans believe in these things, but they have been led down the garden path by liberal press and by liberal spokespeople. They haven't received the message back. If we push back and we put the truth in the marketplace, if we're allowed to, if we're not censored, and that's why they're so afraid of the Phil Robertsons of the world, because when they put truth in the marketplace, truth always triumphs.
Let me ask you this, though, Doug, in your expertise on this matter, how do we still push back with the left calling us the bigots and the hate mongers and really denigrating us every time we turn around? I don't know if you saw the article that was written by Arkansas Times editor Gene Lyons that came out and just absolutely tried to destroy the Robertson family, tried to make fun of and minimize any of us that have family values. How can we keep pushing back? What do we do?
Well, one, we have to recognize what their tactics are. And their tactics are misinformation, intimidation, and the kind of really the redefinition of not just marriage but other terms as well. They use terms like bigots and hate mongers and all to shut down the debate. What they're terrified is that somebody with any sense of knowledge and background and who's done their investigation is going to be able to engage with them, because all they have is some heart-tugging stories that they can tell, and they do a good job at that. We've got to be better on our side of telling the stories that portray the upside as well as the downside of their view, the upside of our view, and show what happens when intact families stay together and what the impact is on the culture and children and what the damage is on their side. We've got to be better storytellers. But I think that we also need to be able to pull the curtain back on their tactics, because what they do is they punish you if you don't agree, if you get out of line. Look what happened to the Robertson family. When they didn't toe the politically correct line, then the elitists out there came jumping all over them and wanted to punish them for having a view, for having an opinion, one which, by the way, the majority of Americans agree with. But you never get to hear that story because of the chokehold that most of the liberal press has on that. But, thank God for programs like yours and others that are getting the message out there. If people will respond to it and they start getting engaged and involved, not just have an opinion, but speak it, stand up for it, don't be ashamed of it, don't back down, take a stand. I think, these are easy battles to win, but we just need everybody to come together.
I don't even know how to phrase this question because I was so furious. It took place last week on O'Reilly's program when he had Bernie Goldman on his show. And I don't particularly care for either gentleman. I should say that up front. But Bernie said something that was so repugnant to me when he was talking about the gay and homosexual lifestyle, and basically he's in favor of accepting it. He said that the rest of us basically are stupid if we believe in all aspects of the Bible. How do you discern? How do you pick and choose what you want out of the Bible? And we as mere mortals, what gives us and precludes us the right to do that?
Well, it's one of these postmodern relativistic mindsets that wants to pick and choose truth. But truth is not negotiable. Truth is one of these immovable objects, and it's a real problem for those on the left who would like to change the rules. I mean, you can't repeal the laws of gravity. If you jump off a building, 10 times out of 10, you're going to hit the concrete. And so, but they want to redefine all sorts of rules and pick and choose what they like and what they don't like. We don't have the luxury of doing that, and neither do they. But when they do, and then they say, but we like our newfangled ideas, and if you don't agree with us, then you're the stupid ones, you're the narrow-minded ones, you're the ones that can't seem to understand it. But the reality is, we are the ones that do get it, because we know what happens when you start doing the things that the Bernie Goldbergs of the world would like to do and pick and choose. We've got to embrace the whole package of truth. We can't pick and choose, and we've got to point out when they start doing that, because you get on the slippery slope. Because then who decides? Everything's relative. It either might make right, or the left, if they want to punish you, they get away with it because they've got their views, and we think anybody that doesn't join their club is excluded.
Though, Doug, when you look at the overall picture of what's happening here with the Robertson family and their patriarch, Phil, and the condemnation of this family by the left, it looks like this is kind of a Custer's last stand, if you will, for the Bible and the value systems and everything else in this country. This is an opportunity, like I stated a few moments ago, to stand up and really advocate what the Bible says and stand behind its passages. This man, Phil Robertson, did nothing but quote different chapter and verse of the Bible. It's a very religious family. He did nothing wrong, but the left absolutely was inflamed over this.
Well, they equate truth-telling with hate-mongering. If you tell somebody that if you put your hand on a hot stove, it's going to burn you, is that hate? Because the consequences are damaging? No, that's truth. And in fact, it's the greatest act of love that can be demonstrated. And I think when Phil tells the truth and says, I care so much about you. I care about your soul. I care about your present condition. I care about your eternal condition, that I'm going to tell you the truth, even though it's going to make you uncomfortable. But it's the truth. He's doing them a favor. He's not spewing hatred. In fact, he said that very clearly. He says he loves these people. Mm-hmm. And most Christians do love those who are in sin, because we've all come out of that. But if we compromise the truth, or we pull back the truth, or we hide it under a bushel and we don't let the world know what that truth is, we're not doing them a favor. And what the world says, if you love us, you'll shut up. And what we're saying is, if we love you, we're going to speak out. And that's exactly what we need to do.
Doug, do you think that A&E Network is going to put any new stipulations or refinements, if you will, into the contractual agreement to back off on the Robertsons' free speech? Or are they going to leave the situation alone and the Robertsons will continue to advocate family values? In other words, I'm afraid that somebody's going to get to this family and try to make them weaken their response. What do you think?
Oh, I think they'll try. But I think what they've seen is that, try as they might, this is a family of principles, and they stick together. And, look, they bought into the notion that they're going to do a reality TV show to see how these people live. If they want to script it, they need to go, hire playwrights and actors. But if they want a reality TV show, what made America fond of this family is the fact that they're like a lot of us. They're simple. They are family valued. They love each other. They mock each other. They poke at each other. They tease each other. They argue with each other. They debate with each other. But at the end of the day, they gather around the family dinner table. They pray together, and they love each other. And, that's what America's hungry for, that kind of family community that is missing in so many parts of the country. I think A&E tries to do that. If they try to manipulate their values, this family's going to walk. They don't need the money. This is a platform for them to really reach out to America, and if they lose that platform, they'll go someplace else, and I think there's probably a half a dozen networks that would pick them up in a heartbeat, and these folks aren't going to back down, and God bless them for it.
I agree with you, but I think we need to turn this story about the Robertsons into everybody's story. Mom and dads out there that are listening right now that are having their children come home from school and saying that at their schools they're being forced to listen to and be educated about the normalcy, quote unquote, of the gay and lesbian lifestyle. We all need to grow a backbone and act more like Phil Robertson. That's the key right now, I think.
Yeah, our children are certainly under attack, and we've seen this from a long time. Our president and CEO, Alan Sears, wrote a book on the homosexual agenda, and there's a whole chapter in there how the whole educational system has really been commandeered by the left to spew its propaganda into the public school system and to get the minds of our children. And so parents need to be aware, first of all, what their kids are being taught. Then they need to be vocal when they're being taught things that are absolutely contradictory to the values that they're trying to teach their children at home. They need to get involved in the school boards. They need to be involved in the PTA associations. We can't just sit back and complain. If we see things that aren't happening the way they ought to be happening, we got to get engaged, and we have to be aware and educate ourselves on what's really going on out there, because I think a lot of us kind of live under a shadow sometimes, and we don't really know what's going on. It's a battle zone out there. It's a battle for our children, for their minds and their souls, and we need to be fighting for them and all children, not just our children, but for the left's children too, that are just being pulled along with a ring in their nose down this garden path that leads to destruction.
Absolutely.
We've got to get parents that are involved. We've got to protect our children.
Absolutely. Doug Napier, I just absolutely thank you for coming on the program this morning. I know you've got a busy week, being in that it's New Year's week and everything, but I thank you so much for coming on the show and stand up for those values and help us fight. Tell everybody how they can become more accustomed to the Alliance Defending Freedom.
Well, thank you. We have a website that has just tons of information on it. It's alliancedefendingfreedom.org, alliancedefendingfreedom.org. And if they go to that site, they can sign up. We have a daily news alert that goes out that has stories that a lot of people probably don't get if they're looking at, Huffington Post, and stories that would interest them and how they can be involved, be informed. We depend on our donors to support the work that we don't charge our clients for any of the legal work that we do. And thanks to the generous donors that we have, we're able to represent a lot of students, a lot of public school students, university students, and as well as people that are being challenged every day for their faith, for standing up. And those people that have the courage, those are the real heroes out there, and we have the privilege of representing them.
Thank you so much. God's blessings to you, and Happy New Year. Thank you for being on the program this morning.
Hey, thank you so much. Happy New Year to you, too.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. The Senior Vice President of the Alliance Defending Freedom, Doug Napier. I hope I said that again right. Some people say Napier, etc. Very nice gentleman. I appreciate him being on the show this morning. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's time for a weather update with Michael Rogers Weather, and it's brought to you this hour by our friends at the Magic Valley Chalet in the Upper Crust. Oh my! Downstairs at the Magic Valley Chalet, all the cheese, all the ice cream, and by the way, Christmas candy is 40% off right now at the Magic Valley Chalet. And then take some time today or tomorrow and just go over to the Upper Crust and enjoy lunch. Oh, what a delicious menu. They're located at 1367th Street in Hayburn, the Magic Valley Chalet and Upper Crust Restaurant. And right now, here's Michael Rogers Weather.
Michael Rogers from Michael Rogers Weather. My fan page is back up on Facebook. Just type in Michael Rogers Weather, and it's right there. As we work our way through the last week of 2013, we're going to see temperatures in the 40s all the way through Friday. going to see a mix of sun and clouds all the way through. There will be a chance of rain and snow on Friday, but that's way down the line. Right now, you got increasing clouds today, 42 for the high, 27 for the overnight. So for New Year's Day, 2014, it'll be mostly sunny. High of 44. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it. Brought to you this hour by the Magic Valley Chalet and the Upper Crust Restaurant. Wow. That's the best word to describe both locations. Downstairs, the Magic Valley Chalet with the ice cream, the cheese, and everything else. And like I said, Christmas candy off 40%. And upstairs, the delicious Upper Crust Restaurant. It's 1367th Street in Hayburn. Gina, I was going to have you weigh in on this subject a little bit with the Robertson family and find out your thoughts. But I personally, and I said this many times in the first hour, and I just said it a few moments ago to Doug with Alliance Defending Freedom, this is a golden opportunity for all of us to just kind of stand up and be counted and say what's right and what's wrong and what we believe in.
I wholeheartedly agree on this one, and I am happy that Phil Robertson and, of course, all of the guys from Duck Dynasty are getting so much support from this because it's showing the bigger networks, hey, you know what? Don't trash on our family values because we hold these near and dear, and we have no problems in dumping your network and following these guys.
Well, and the problem I have, it was all money. It was all money. There wasn't anything about really supporting the gay and lesbian lifestyle. It was all the bottom line with A&E was money. Mm-hmm. They were so afraid of the threats from a minuscule, minor, absolutely mousy part of our population, the gay and lesbians and the transgenders, that they said, oh, well, we believe in them, we support them, and then all of a sudden, when they literally had millions upon millions of people write A&E and call A&E and email A&E and everything else and say, listen, put them back on the air and leave them alone. Oh, then they came out and said, well, yeah, we're going to go ahead after this brief hiatus, and we're going to start filming of the new show with Phil involved. They realized that they were going to lose millions of dollars if they put him on hiatus.
And if you remember, and I'm kind of paraphrasing here, that they had said when they had announced that they were going to put him back on the air that they wholeheartedly support those the right to free speech and the freedom of religion.
Yeah, but Gina, that's just it. The left doesn't.
The left doesn't, but and neither does A&E. They're just creating their little statements to appease whichever side that they're trying to get on. And once they figured out, oh, hey, we're going to lose a heck of a lot more money out of this demographic than they are with this tiny little minuscule demographic, we might want to change our thoughts because we're going to be losing a lot of money.
The left is so phony, and they're so absolutely comprised of a bunch of liars, and you and I saw this happen 6 years ago when you were working at KMBT, and the left came after me and called me a bigot and a hate monger because I didn't want Barack Obama to become president because of his ideology. They said that I was a racist and everything else, and at that same time I was supporting Condoleezza Rice to become president, if you'll remember. And we sat in KMBT studio and you asked me questions about it, but the left came out and called me all these names because they are so small-minded and they're absolutely backward in their thinking of having the First Amendment be qualified for them and for us.
What I find kind of, and it's not really funny, but kind of ironic, is that they're all for free speech and, we want to have our say and we want to be able to have our words. But then when it comes back to reciprocating, well, but they don't want to have to hear what we have to say. They don't want to listen to it. And so what's the very first thing that they do? What is the very first thing that they do?
Hate, racist, hate monger, everything else.
They always pull out the race card, or you hate this or you hate that. No. If you do the research, which we have done, you're going to find out that it's not about hate. It's all about facts and figures.
When we sat here, and I'll go back to Obama and then also the gay and lesbian lifestyle, look at what's happened over the years with the last 6 years primarily since Obama's took over office as president. We have seen more of a divided nation than ever before. You tell me a time in this nation's history dating back to and since the Civil War that this country has been so divided and basically going back into more of a racist nation because of the liberal left.
I cannot think of any other. Of course, I'm only 41 years old, but I am kind of a history buff. Never Never in our nation's history since the Civil War has this been such an issue, and we've never been this divided.
But look at Jesse Jackson, and I said this the first hour, and I want you to comment on this as a young mother. Here comes Jesse riding down the trail with his great big horse and carrying a banner, the Rainbow Coalition, and he sticks the banner in the ground and says, "I will fight for these inequities. Phil Robertson is a racist for his remarks." And the only reason that Jesse Jackson gets involved is because of money. He thrives, his group thrives on getting political influence on checks that are donated for him to get in the fray and create inequality.
It's all about FaceTime.
There you go.
The man has nothing to say. It's all about FaceTime, and you have got a phone call.
All right, thank you, Gina. I appreciate your remarks. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Zeb.
Hello, Tony.
Mind if I go back to what Frosty was saying this morning?
No, go ahead, sir.
I had contacted our 3 senators here in town through their office, and I also called Washington about the terrorist training camps that are going on in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I got back?
What's that?
Nothing. They sent letters back that totally avoided the issue.
Was there a generic response? Did they say anything in regards to your concerns? Certainly they must have said something.
Oh, they brought up stuff about gun control and about the security in the country. We're doing our best and stuff like that, but nothing that came right out and addressed the problem.
Tony, I don't understand how, whether it's a Mike Crapo or whether it's a Mike Simpson or whether it's a Bennett from Utah or anybody else, I don't understand how they can overlook the fact that these training camps are in existence. They're in many, many states all across the United States. Like I said earlier, a clarion call to jihad could happen and they would be fighting right here in our neighborhoods. Why are our senators and congressmen, and I'm going to say it this way, so damn dumb that they can't understand the problem?
Well, I think they're really avoiding the problem because they want the people to feel that they're doing a good job running the country. And they don't want the people to know anything about what's going on as far as terrorism goes.
You know, it's so interesting to me to have people like Martin Moyer on my program, the author of that book, Twilight in America. The man did a comprehensive study on where the different sites are, what they're training for, their weapons and everything else, and then to have the naivete of Congress and the Senate sit there and basically gloss it over and tell everybody that it's okay. Tony, it's not okay. It's a dangerous situation.
It is. I read the book, and I passed the book on, and my son-in-law is going to keep passing the book on to different people. It's just a matter of time, and I know this is going to happen. We're going to start having explosions in this country, just like what happened in the Soviet Union last week.
Yes. That situation right there we're going to comment on tomorrow, too. I appreciate that. Tony, God bless you and Mary, and Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Same to you in the end.
Thank you, sir. God bless. Don't forget, Let's Ride. Oh, my goodness sakes. Let's see. They're going to be closed today, but they're open tomorrow from 9 to 3. Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley, or whichever way you're going, between Burley and Hayburn or Rupert and Hayburn, whatever. Easy to find right there at 270 Highway 24. And don't forget they got all your snow machines. Don't forget they've got all the ATVs. Don't forget they've got all the accessories. Don't forget they've got the best parts and service department anywhere. Don't forget that they're locally owned. Don't forget all this stuff and get over where they sell fun. Let's Ride. Highway 24 between Rupert and Burley. They're waiting for you tomorrow. Let's ride. Coming up next hour is going to be really interesting because I've got one of my dearest friends coming on the program. And he is in the studio, as a matter of fact, and that's Jack Euler. And we're going to be talking about this wolf and coyote derby that took place over the weekend up in Salmon. Then, Jack, what is it, about 10:30 this morning? I think Steve Alder, the organizer of that event, is going to be on the program with us. And we're going to be talking about how the environmental groups and the animal rights activists tried to stop this event and what's going on with the lying and and basically the cheating on the numbers of what really we have as a problem in the state of Idaho with the wolves, and what we were supposed to have upon agreement that has far exceeded now with numbers of wolves that are in great numbers here in the state of Idaho. We're going to be talking about that to Jack Euler coming up this next hour. Also, I want to remind you that tomorrow will be our broadcast for New Year's Eve. We'll be on the air from 8 to 11. I will not have a broadcast on Thursday of this week, day after New Year's Day. As I said earlier, I'm going to be in preparation for getting ready to go to the University Hospital in Salt Lake for my surgery. And next week, Gina, thank God for Gina, and Sharon Hardy Mills, both will be running this program. So there you have it. Calls are welcome. We'll be back in 6. Zeb at the Ranch. Don't go away. Oh, welcome back. Hour number 3, Zeb at the Ranch on this last Monday of 2013. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and of course, also some of our great advertisers, including Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, and our friends at Western Waste Services with Kelly and the crew, always at your disposal. Get on the route service today. Call them at 734-6969. I'm very, very honored and blessed to have as a friend Jack Euler, and Jack is going to be on the program with us for the entirety of this hour. And we're going to be talking about the wolf situation in the state of Idaho and some of the misguided and misinformed editorials that appeared in some of our local papers and some of the statistics that just will not wash as far as being factual. And Jack, good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning.
Nice to have you on the program.
It's good to be here.
Oh, Happy New Year, by the way.
Thank you.
Oh, Jack, we're going to also be visited by a gentleman coming up in about 30 minutes that is the organizer for the Derby that was held this last weekend, the Coyote and Wolf Derby up in Salmon. Tell us a little background about Steve before we get started.
I've known Steve for several years. He lives in Lewiston, and he is a sportsman, and he's very active as a sportsman, but he deals with a lot of people in the north end of the state, and Steve Alder is a good guy, and he's taken a lot of heat, and he called me when the flack started over this thing a week or so ago, and asked me about our coyote derbies down here and what had happened with them, and I told him that we had quit having them because the environmentalists came after our sponsors like Nikon and all that kind of stuff, and you know, they have come after the people that are sponsoring that derby out in Bliss for the rock chucks. And what, you know, what was that for? That was for somebody with cancer.
Yes,
that is a cancer thing.
Let me ask you this, Jack, and this just it irritates me so bad this morning because we're seeing a kind of a combination of stories here with the animal rights activists and the environmentalists saying, no, you can't have this, and if you do have this, we're going to go after your sponsorship, we're going to destroy it, we're going to regulate it and everything else. That's the left's approach. They're cowards. They're basically cowards. We have even seen this, and I've heard this with bass fishing tournaments where they're even going after their sponsors for that. And I think this whole thing goes right back to what I was talking about in the first hour and last hour with the Phil Robertson and the Duck Dynasty people. It's time to fight back, and it's time to stand tall and stand up for what your beliefs and your values are.
It is. And sometimes when you do that, you get hammered.
That's right.
I know because I've been there.
Well, look at this situation. I'm on the air every day, and I'm standing up for it.
That's right.
And I've had people cuss me. I've had people turn me into the national media and condemn me and everything else. But that's not going to change my belief status. I'm going to stand there, and I'm going to say and stand up for what I believe in. And right now, we've got the wolves that have been crammed down our throats. We were lied to by the environmentalists on the number of breeding pairs and wolves that would remain in this state after the resurrection of the wolf coming back. There are more wolves now than ever was agreed to, but now these people want to keep changing the rules all the time.
But do you know what? those figures have been lost. And
really?
all of these things that have come out in the paper are not even mentioned of how many wolves we're supposed to have them recognized as recovered. There's not one mention about 100 wolves or 10 breeding pair, and that's what the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service said we had to have before we got to a place where we could get a delisting on the wolves. And then when the state management plan was done, and I know what the state management plan is for inside and out.
Well, you worked on this for the last 20 years.
That's right. And the environmental groups were sitting at the table, but we gave a little bit of leverage there. We gave it to 150 wolves and 15 breeding pair. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't see any of that in any of these articles. But you see all of these things about, there's 680 wolves. Now, I got a letter here from the Sierra Club that says there's 1,000 wolves. The Fish and Game Commission says there's 1,000 wolves in the state. You know, nobody knows what there is, but what gets printed? 680, 680, and 680. You know, it's total misinformation.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the big editorial that was in the paper yesterday. And the headline of the paper was Wolf Debate About Politics, Not Facts. Well, let me say this, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong, that when they put this headline on there that the wolf debate is about politics, not facts, then the Times News had better check their facts before they make an op-ed piece about this thing, because first of all, they said their equation about the wolf debate is that from both the rancher side and the environmentalist side, it's only about the money. How did you feel when you read that?
Well, I made a couple of notes on the article, and one of them is that there are facts, but you won't talk about what the real facts are, and they don't mention what the real facts are.
What do you mean by real facts?
Well, that we only need 100 wolves to have them recovered according to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, or the state management plan says we have to have 150.
Okay, now stop right there. What was the discussion, Jack, when you, back in 1995, sat down with all these people, both pro and con for the wolf, and they finally decided at that time upon 100 wolves? There was nothing originally about 150. It was 100 wolves. That's right. At that time. What about the overage? How was that going to be managed? What was the discussion at that time?
Well, what the rules that the Fed set down, and they're still in place, is that when they're delisted...
when they got to the 100 head.
Yes. And when they're delisted, which happened in 2012, I think, 2012, then the feds will watch you for 5 years after the delisting and see that you are managing the wolves according to what the rules were set down. Now, we're in the third year of this, I think, and we have, look what we have.
Okay, now wait a minute. I'm confused. So you agreed to 100 head of wolves, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, you've exceeded that. Some numbers say that we have 1,200 head of wolves in the state of Idaho. Some say 1,000. Some say 680. Okay, let's use this ambiguous figure right here in the Times News of 680 head. That means that you are still 6 times over the original thought.
That's what I'm saying about facts. They will not talk about what the real facts are. They don't talk about what it takes to meet the recovery goal.
Yeah. So what about the overage? I mean, are we supposed to just let these numbers multiply in favor of the environmentalists? What about the control? What about the management? What about the ranchers? What about the sheepmen? What about everybody else that's concerned about wildlife in the state of Idaho being degenerated down to minimal numbers? Are we just supposed to let these wolves go in favor of the environmental movement?
I've learned that a long time ago that the environmentalists and their word is as good as it takes the time to shut the door when the meeting's over, and they change their goals and they change what the direction they want to go.
So this op-ed piece in the Times News is not even worth the paper it's written on, because they don't discuss the fact that the number of wolves that was agreed upon was 100 head. That's not even mentioned in here.
No, it isn't. Or it doesn't talk about the state management plan either.
Yeah.
You know, none of these things are ever mentioned in any of these articles, that what the real goals were, and that those were met many years ago. But, you know, I was invited to Wyoming several years ago to talk to the Fish and Game Commission in Jackson Hole about the wolf issue. And I got there early, and I sat through a meeting with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service talking to the Fish and Game Commissioners in Wyoming about the grizzly bear. And I learned that in that meeting that Wyoming is the way they are on wolves because of the grizzly bear. Because it was stated in that meeting that this guy from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service gave a 20-minute oration about the grizzly bear, and then he said, if you do this, this, and this, within 2 to 3 years, the grizzly bear will be delisted. Mm-hmm. And a guy stood up in the back of the room and said, I would like to address that man directly. He says, 10 years ago, I was on this commission, and I heard the same story, and I heard that if we did this, this, and this, in 2 or 3 years, the wolves, or the grizzly bears, would be delisted. And they still have not been. Mm-hmm. And they're still not today. I mean, the truth gets lost, and it's just like all this crap in the paper. The truth is lost, and it's not stated.
Let me read you a portion of this editorial that I underlined. And they said that ranchers are some of the biggest wolf haters. They zero in on tales of massive sheep killings and massacres and half-eaten cattle to swell their ranks and bolster federal subsidy programs. Whoa! Stop right there. And these are tales of massive sheep killings. I know I've talked to many of the people, like Sidaways, etc., that have lost hundreds of sheep due to the wolves. You have personally been on a filming of a videotape up in the McCall area where these sheep were just mauled and killed for no wanton purpose other than just fun killing by wolves. How come they say in this article that these are tales?
Well, you know, that's what I say about facts. Why don't they give the real facts? You know as well as I do, when I took that camera crew up to Bergdorf and filmed 99 sheep dead on the mountain.
That's right.
And there were 2 eaten on.
That's right.
And the facts are not stated. The facts are getting lost. And let's go back to money. They talk about money.
Yeah, they talk about the federal subsidy programs. Now, you and I both know that
there.
That's not there anymore.
No, and the ranchers have not been paid for 2.5 years for any wolf kill.
So that's totally a lie then to say that the ranchers are doing this just to bolster federal subsidies.
That's right. I mean, it's not there. The money's not there. The government has shut it down.
And you would think that any newspaper, before they wrote an op-ed like this, a very inflammatory op-ed about the wolves, would try to get more of the facts.
The guy that wrote this, and there's no name on this, the one that came out Sunday, I mean, it is stupid. I can't believe how dumb and why anybody would write an article like this about politics and not facts. He has no facts in this article.
Why, and I want to ask you this question, Jack. I've got to do a commercial, but I want to just plant the seed here a little bit. Why hasn't the Idaho Fish and Game, due to the fact that now they manage the wolves as a species that's open for a hunting season, why didn't they speak out, or why weren't they asked for an op-ed piece like this so they could give more relevant information? Answer that when I come back, if you would, please. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the Chadwick Sports Grill at 139 West Main in Burley. Oh, what a great place to go eat. Absolutely nice people, great menu, and today, Monday, they've got a half BLT sandwich and tots or fries for just $5.95. And then later on this afternoon, don't forget the grand round steak, super salad, choice of potatoes, just $8.95. This is a great place to go eat. I love their Philly cheese steak sandwiches. Oh, great. Chadwick Sports Grill. You're going to like the people. You're going to love the food. 139 West Main in Burley. Answer that, Jack. Go ahead.
Well, restate your question again.
Well, basically, I was questioning as to the Fish and Game, Idaho Fish and Game Department is involved in managing now. They were pushed upon them, I'll say that, the wolf population in the state of Idaho. Well, if this person that wrote this op-ed piece is going to be factual and get more information and about the numbers and everything else, why didn't they quote the Fish and Game for more facts?
Well, I have a heartburn about that too, and I have a heartburn because in talking to Steve Alder, he was in contact, or the director of the Fish and Game, Virgil Moore, was calling Steve and wanting to know what they were going to do, and he was encouraging to go ahead with this and go ahead with this and go ahead with this derby that was being held in Salmon. But I said, did Virgil Moore offer to put anything out? And you have not seen anything in the paper, or you have not seen anything. There may be something that comes of it, but why wasn't it out up front? And this is the trouble I have with the Fish and Game, because they do not back what is going on. Now, in having this derby up there, there was no laws broken. You can hunt coyotes anytime you want to hunt coyotes.
That's right.
And the wolf, when it was delisted, became a big game animal under the laws of the state of Idaho. Well, the hunting season for wolves is on at this time.
That's right.
So they're not breaking any laws by having it. But you say that people don't stand up for what is right. Zeb, if you read between the lines on this thing, they're talking about permits for using the Forest Service and using BLM lands. What is headed? Where are we headed for? We're headed onto the plane that every time we go on these federal lands, we got to have a permit.
Well, it's not
to show what we're going to be doing on federal land.
Well, it's not only what we're going to be doing or what we want to do or having a permit to do it. It's also, and it's becoming quite obvious to me, that they don't want to issue any permits of any usage or have any of us on the federal lands. That's what it looks like, and a lot of people would agree with that.
Well, it's totally true. And if you know a little bit about the White Clouds issue in up in Blaine County, who's behind the proposal that has been made to the president that he makes that area into a whatever
monument
status? Then what is going to happen?
Yeah, more closure.
The environmental groups that were against this derby that was being held is behind what is going on in Blaine County.
You know, the whole thing is, and let's just revert back to this morning. As of Monday morning, this morning, absolutely no wolves were even shot at the start of the derby. Now, I said this on the program last week, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. if you're going to have a derby of this magnitude and you're going to have these hunters out there, wolves are not stupid. They're very, very wary creatures out in the wild. And boy, if they got a whole bunch of people that are out gunning for them, I guarantee you that nobody's going to see one or even get a shot at one. It didn't surprise me at all to hear that there's absolutely no wolves so far shot in that derby.
That's right. And I talked to Steve yesterday afternoon, and he said, I will know in a couple of hours whether or not, and you can ask him that whether or not there was any wolves got yesterday afternoon. But
and there was nothing wrong if they did shoot some.
No, the season's open.
The season's open.
And people, all they have to do is have a permit through the Fish and Game. They have to have a hunting license, and they have to have a wolf tag.
You know, let me ask you, and I'm tying another subject in here, Jack, so forgive me for adding something else to the fray. But all of this also ties in with the non-usage type thing with the sage grouse.
It's completely true. I mean, it is.
You've got a phone that won't quit. I wish you'd turn that darn thing off. I will do a commercial real quick and tell everybody, don't forget School Days in Cassia County. Every Thursday we have that great show, and it's brought to you by two of our wonderful sponsors, A Child's World at 1308 Overland Avenue in Burley, and also Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. And don't forget, at The Child's World, they've got a winter clearance. Stock up on winter coats and dresses. And also come see the most comfortable shoes ever from Cherokee for adults on their feet all day long. What a great place. A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, and also Ambulatory Surgery Center. Ambulatory Surgery Center on Highland Drive can save you hundreds of dollars and give you outstanding medical care if you need a colonoscopy from an experienced board-certified gastroenterologist. I'm going to say that again. Gastroenterologist. There we go. Along with eye surgery, carpal tunnel surgery, arthroscopic surgery, all of this and more at Ambulatory Surgery Center, 1344 Highland Avenue in Burley. Both of those great sponsors bringing you School Days in Cassia County right here on Zeb at the Ranch. The sage grouse issue, before we get Steve on the line in a couple of minutes after our break at the bottom of the hour, just kind of elaborate a little bit on this. They had a story in the paper the other day, too, also about ranchers that are trying their best to work with making the populations for sage grouse much more palatable.
Well, yes, and the thing is that we can't do predator control on federal lands. That's on right. BLM grounds.
There you go.
We can do it on private ranches, on deeded property, and this is being done in northern Utah and in Elko County, in Box Elder County and Elko County, and there is an Indian tribe that has signed up, and predator control through the animal damage control people of the Ag Department are doing this through county commissions in Elko County and Box Elder.
Doesn't it seem, and I've got to take a break here in a minute, but doesn't it seem so totally ridiculous to you that there's, speaking of the sage grouse, for instance, there's nothing about predator control on public lands, but yet they're going to come down on the ranchers and the farmers. It doesn't make any difference. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I know, and I have pictures and articles of newborn lambs that have been born on public lands that have been killed by ravens and hawks and things like that. Yeah. I mean, none of it makes sense. But Zeb, before we come to the end on that, you know, it talks in this article about what environmental groups do when they have an issue. The Sierra Club, which I have a letter from here, uses these things to get donations.
That's right.
And here's the letter that the Sierra Club sent out to people all over the United States on the wolf issue when we went after a wolf delisting in the lower 48 states, and they asked for donations because we have done this for the wolves, we have done this for you, we have done this, and we have done that, and all it is money to pay people, to pay attorneys, and to pay all this stuff.
Absolutely. We're going to take a little break. We're going to come back with more with Jack Euler and the wolf situation, and also get Steve Adler on the program with us. So don't go away. We'll be back in 3. Zeb at the Ranch. Don't go away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Welcome back, and really appreciate your being with us. Jack Euler's in the studio with us, and of course, Jack, very, very instrumental. I don't think that there's anyone in the state of Idaho that could dispute the fact that when it comes to the knowledge of the reintroduction of the wolves and representing the people like ranchers and farmers that were against the wolves, Jack Euler's been there from the get-go. And Jack, you know more about it and possibly forgot more about this situation than anybody involved in it. And in just a few moments, we're expecting a call into the studio. Gina's going to let us know. Steve Alder is going to be coming on the program. He was the one that helped organize the Wolf Derby, if you will, over at Salmon this past weekend. Jack, this problem isn't getting any less. We thought that after the agreement with the environmentalists, and we thought that after the papers had been signed on the 100 wolves to be brought back into the state of Idaho, all of this issue of pro-wolf, con-wolf would go away. It's getting worse.
Totally worse. All this stuff in the paper is, it's just ridiculous. It's like, and we're being forced into things that are good, and there was a reason back in the 1800s that the wolves were killed.
Absolutely.
And if the environmentalists talk about us displacing the wolves or displacing everything. The elk used to be a plains animal.
Absolutely. We have Steve on the phone.
Okay.
Steve is here, and I'd like to say good morning to Steve Alder. Hello, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Excellent. You guys, I can't hear you very well.
We'll ask Gina. We'll ask Gina to turn it up in your ears just a little bit more, please.
I appreciate it.
All right, Steve. Welcome aboard, and thank you very much. Did you realize that when you started this wolf derby, this wolf and coyote derby, that you were going to have all kinds of hell and damnation thrown upon your shoulders?
I was actually one of the last ones to know about the contest. We had one of our chapters in Salmon put it together without my knowledge, and so I would have probably done a little different twist on the media, knowing what Jack has gone through with SFW. We probably would have omitted the name Wolf, but in hindsight, it's actually turned into a positive.
Now, when you say that,
I told the in my lawsuit declaration with the 5 plaintiffs, I told the judge that I don't think we'll probably even see a wolf, and we would get 10 to 20 coyotes. Well, I was pretty close. We did see a wolf, and we got 21, 23 coyotes, but the hype and the exaggeration and the bloodshed, misinformation, I kind of expected it. That's what these people do.
Well, let me ask you this, Steve.
Every opportunity to play upon the emotions of the naive for their next fundraiser campaign.
Well, let me jump in here, Steve, and ask you this. You said that maybe if you'd have been involved in the get-go, you might have rephrased certain things for the media. But my question to you is this. Why? Why do we always have to soft-soap things? Why do we always have to relax things?
Tolerant, obviously, and that's why they have so much tolerance for us, right?
Well, okay, now you're talking to a guy that's extremely right-wing, and I don't believe in being tolerant to the point where my voice is silent. And I'm one of these kind of guys that they can call me a hate monger, they can call me a bigot, but I still believe in the First Amendment rights that are afforded me by the Constitution. You and this group did nothing wrong in organizing this wolf and coyote derby. The wolf hunting season is on, and it's anytime, 365 days a year, to shoot coyotes. So what did you do wrong?
Well, in my opinion, we did nothing wrong, but You know, it's unfortunate when you talk about tolerance that we had to have 16 police officers at the event. We had state patrols. We had the FBI. We had a fire truck locked and loaded with ice water, ready to exorcise any demons that might come forth from these radical nuts. So we had so many death threats that, you know, it's unbelievable that we have to go through this with these kind of people.
You know, Steve, you just touched on something. You just touched on something that needs to be elaborated on. Here you were having an event to get rid of quite a few predators, quite frankly, to our big game herds, and also a nuisance to farmers and ranchers. And yet you didn't say anything or do anything that would be hateful or spiteful to anybody on the left. But then they come out with death threats, and they come out with the points that they're going to damage vehicles and that they're going to cause a problem. And it seems like the media thrives on giving these kooks and crackpots all the publicity.
What they did is they targeted, in that initial flyer, we had the names of the businesses and the people that were sponsoring it, so they personally had targeted these businesses. One of the businesses was called the Savage Grill in Salmon, and these people received hundreds of death threats over the phone. And the people, we had actually stopped the Derby twice because of the death threats, okay? It was that serious. And the people got mad. And once the authorities started to show up, the sheriff, and started saying, we're here for you, then the people rallied together and started to fight back. In fact, for the event, this is what was on, if you go to the Facebook or the Savage Grill, this is what they put as their weekly special. This week's special at the grill is a .38 caliber full metal jacket. Free delivery for anyone that threatens my family, my employees, or my business, delivered hot.
I can't agree more. And, you know, this all kind of ties in. Jack Euler's on the air, and I'm going to ask him if he has a question for you. But all of this really plays a big part in what happened also last week with the liberal left and the Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty story. We, as the major part of our population, have got to stand up and grow some backbone and stand up for what is right in this country. And I salute you. I salute the people in Salmon and Chalice and all over that part of the country for having the backbone to go through with this thing, and I certainly hope you have another.
We're planning it, and as we were doing it, I had constant emails and phone calls from others that want to have them, and we're going to set up a template for them on how to do it if they need help.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to let Jack ask you any questions that he has. Jack Euler, Steve's on the air. Go ahead, please.
Steve, good morning. It's good to hear you.
Good morning, Jack.
Zeb and I have been on the air here for about a half an hour, but in reading all the stuff that we had in the newspapers down here, it is a thing that bothers me the most, and that is this permitting process. It's my belief or my feeling that if they had been successful in forcing this permitting process, that what this is leading to is that everybody down the line will be required to have a permit to go on public lands. What is your feeling on that?
Not only do I agree, but I consulted with a lot of experts, and they felt the same way, because one of the things that happened, we had a green light to get a permit, and we had to have insurance, and we had all that worked out. I had not filed the permit, and at the last minute, the BLM called, and they said, Steve, where's your position? Because of the controversy that we've had, we have now upped this into a catastrophic type of a situation with all the threats. The enviros have threatened multiple lawsuits against us if we issue the permit. Now that they've brought NEPA in, and it's gone too far, and we can't get the permit done in time, but we can do it next year, and we'll have a NEPA review and this and that. So yeah, I feel that that's the way that BLM is kind of the more political arm, unlike the Forest Service. And yeah, it was the local people with the BLM were wonderful to deal with, but the state director had, I think, 1,600 emails to stop it, and I think you're right. I think they're going to look for anything they can to control the federal land.
Steve, let me ask you a question here. This is Zeb again, but I was just mentioning to Jack on the air a few minutes ago in regards to the Idaho Fish and Game. Don't you think that the Idaho Fish and Game, should have done more and said more in defense of the numbers and exactly what the truth is about the wolf population in the state of Idaho?
Well, absolutely, and I could write a book on that. And I just want to say, yeah, they have not put the resources. We could go on and on about that. While wolf numbers were increasing in the early 2000s, they stuck their head in the sand and started building multi-million-dollar offices. That's where the money went, instead of aggressive studies to show and prove and substantiate the damages that wolves were causing. If you go to my website, idahowildlife.com, and look at the article about the new elk management plan, you will see where we fought to save the Lolo elk. The sportsmen were out there fighting Fish and Game and trying to get the truth out. We were marginalized, put down. I mean, I could, again, on and on. And in fact, in this event, Idaho Fish and Game, we had a fellow out of Salmon named Jason Husselman, and he provided this information to the press that this was the first organized wolf killing event since 1973, and that was completely disingenuous. And obviously it was deliberate, and so that misinformation went viral. And so you have people, not all of them, but you have some bad apples that are still trying to curtail wolf control.
Let me ask you this question. You mentioned the threats, and boy, anytime there's a threat of physical harm, injury, or possibly damage to personal property, you have to take that seriously. What about the general feeling in Salmon and Chalice area right now after these threats? Are these people, like this cafe ownership, are they under the guise of, boy, we got to watch our back 24/7?
No,
how validated are these?
Absurd. I think they realize that these guys are shooting a bunch of blanks, and they're all a bunch of, cowards, these animal rights activists, cowards, and they didn't show up. They're kind of like terrorists. They threaten your livelihood and to kill you, but they won't come confront you. They'll get in your face.
Well, Jack...
they're kind of like the Taliban, I think.
Absolutely. I agree. Jack, go ahead. If you got another question, I've got about 3 or 4 minutes left. Go ahead. Steve, what about the future for this event? I'm sure that with your name tied to it, you're going to be vulnerable for any and all of the media to criticize you or try to chastise you or put you in the forefront or the limelight. Are you going to stand tall and remain firm on having some more of these? What's the future look like?
Absolutely, we're gonna continue and promote them. Do it. It was a wonderful event. We had lots of kids there and some good traditions and heritage coming out of it. So yeah, we're going to continue it. And I don't have a very good reputation of quitting or backing down anyway. So I'm not smart enough to know any better. But yeah, we're going to continue them.
I want to extend to you that in the future, when you get this all set to go, call us. We'll put it on my program. We'll give you the advertisement for the event and let everybody know what's happening. But I salute you for having the backbone to stand up against these animal rights activists, so-called animal rights activists, and these environmental groups. All of us need to show some backbone right now for what's right and stand against what's wrong.
I agree.
Jack, any final thoughts?
We'll keep you in the loop if we have another one. I think we're planning more right now.
All right.
Steve, I'd like to thank you for calling in, and we're all on the same page on this issue, and we need to join together in trying to protect what rights we do have, because we're losing them every day.
Absolutely. Steve Alder, thank you so much. God's blessings to you. Happy New Year, and we'll be in touch in the future. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
You betcha. Thanks, Sue. Appreciate it. Sounds like a pretty sharp guy, Jack.
I've known Steve for a long time.
And he's in Lewiston, you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about these threats? You know, when he said people were threatening lives, and they were threatening people's vehicles and their cafe, their buildings, etc. We've got a caller with a question. We'll take that in just a minute, but quickly give me an answer. You can't take these threats lightly. Somebody might want to do something.
You look at what's happened to Moyles Mink Farms in southern Idaho is not a threat without any action.
That's exactly right. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Good morning, Jeff. You know me fairly well. My thing on it is, I think it's great that they do these hunts for coyotes and wolves and stuff, but it's what irritates me is there's a bad apple in a bunch, and there are some few that have been chasing the coyotes down on four-wheelers and cars and whatnot. And that kind of gives a black eye to the whole idea, in my opinion. I'd just like to see how he...
All right, we'll have Jack respond to that. Go ahead, Jack, if you would.
As far as coyotes are concerned, there are regulations on how you're supposed to take coyotes, and they're fair game 365 days a year, and so that's about all I can say. It's all set out.
You know, you mentioned these animal rights. I don't even like to use that term, animal rights. These are animal terrorists. That's all they are. Like what happened over at Moyles Mink Farm. They did more damage to these animals, the mink, than they ever did anything to help. They destroyed the welfare. They destroyed the perpetuity of their livelihood of this family. They stopped the income. They did everything they could to destroy the records, and actually did more harm to the mink themselves than they ever could have otherwise. And yet the press and the media just seems like, oh, these are people trying to do a good thing. What has happened in this society to where we're so sick that we're giving the criminals the benefit of the doubt?
That's what we're doing, Zeb. If the people knew how long those mink would live outside of their cage, because they're used to being fed every day, and I've talked to the Moyles here in Twin Falls, and they're domesticated, and they will die if they are turned out of their cages.
I just have no sympathy for these so-called animal rights activists. I've had to fight these people because of their lame, very poor excuses against the rodeo business and the horse business in general. They're coming from a non-usage point of view. They don't want any animals used for anything. They just want everything turned loose. And can you imagine the devastation, the death, and the cruelty that would cause?
Well, that's completely true. And you look at the names of these animal rights groups. Animal rights, okay. Here's the Wild Earth Guardian.
Yeah.
Who gave them the authority to be guardian over everything on the earth?
And to be the dictator as to what rules we have to follow.
That's right. Yeah. And then you got Western Watersheds, but you got the Boulder White Clouds Council, you got, the Animal Rights Welfare Institute. Who gave them the authority to be the head guy over all our animals?
Absolutely.
The laws, the state of Idaho are there, and it seems like that the only people that try and follow them a little bit are sportsmen, and these animal rights groups, they don't follow the laws.
Well, look at and I've got to do a commercial break here and do the weather and everything, but look at the duck hunting in general. Thanks to the sportsmen, the duck hunters, look how ducks have flourished in North America.
Well, let me tell you, Zeb, the environmental people in this country were the ranchers and the sportsmen.
That's right.
And in the 60s and the 70s, these groups hijacked that word environmentalists. And ever since the 60s and the 70s, we have been the bad guy, and the ranchers and the sportsmen have been the bad guys, and everything else is, they're the gods behind all this.
I agree. We're going to have a weather update real quick with Michael, RogersWeather.com. Here's Michael.
Michael Rogers from Michael Rogers Weather. My fan page is back up on Facebook. Just type in Michael Rogers Weather, and it's right there. As we work our way through the last week of 2013, we're going to see temperatures in the 40s all the way through Friday. We're going to see a mix of sun and clouds all the way through. There will be a chance of rain and snow on Friday, but that's way down the line. Right now, you got increasing clouds today, 42 to the high, 27 to the overnight. So, for New Year's Day, 2014, it'll be mostly sunny, high of 44. Enjoy the day, enjoy the weather. It's the only weather you got.
Thank you, Michael. We appreciate it. And while I have just a moment here as we get ready to wrap up the program for today, the last Monday in 2013, I want to remind you about all 7 great locations of your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, my goodness, with all the traction tires. If snow is in the forecast, they can help you with all the winter traction and pin for stud tires, all the different tread designs, everything. Stop in and see them today. Also, check out all the chains for your tires, all the batteries. They've got each and every battery you need. Don't be left out in the cold. Have a free battery test on your battery to make sure it's functioning properly. And don't forget, too, the best in brake value, front end alignment, shocks and struts, all of this and much, much more with Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, John on Poline in Twin Falls, and, of course, Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Jack, final thought real quick. I've only got a minute left, but
I would like to say something about that phone call.
Yes.
About bad apples.
Yes.
There are bad apples, whether they're sportsmen with a gun, or whether they're on a four-wheeler, whether they're on a snowmobile, whether they're on whatever. You're a bad apple if you're on the highway, driving down the highway, and you're going 70 miles an hour in a 60 zone.
Yep.
You're a bad apple also. There's bad apples in every aspect of life. And so, yes, there are bad apples out there, but it's not always a sportsman.
Real quick, Jack, I want to go back to the dissension on this issue and give me a short answer on this, but we're not making any headway. It seems like the divide and the chasm between the so-called animal rights activists and the environmental groups, and then, of course, the real people living on the land, the ranchers and farmers, and the users of public land, there seems to be a big divide. Do you see any way this can come together?
No, until, like these articles talking about, it is political.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have something different in Washington, D.C.
Absolutely.
And get some things going there to turn this thing around totally.
Absolutely.
But, yes, there can be something done, and each person, I don't care who it is, needs to stand up for things that they believe in. If they believe in Jesus Christ, they will stand up for Robertson in that issue.
Absolutely.
And issues like this, sportsmen need to band together and stand up against what is going on. But you can see the tactics that they used. If we used those tactics, what would happen to us?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's totally different.
Jack, I want to extend to you a very happy New Year. God's blessings to you and your family. Thanks for coming out this morning.
Thank you.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind everybody, I talked to Merv May at the Burley Livestock Sale Yard. Yes, there will be a sale on this Thursday. Yes, there will be a sale on this Thursday. Don't forget that. Caller, I've got exactly 30 seconds. Real fast. Go ahead.
Yes, wouldn't it be great if we had a newspaper that would print the truth, objectively take into consideration both sides, and just put the truth down instead of printing a bunch of lies, a bunch of misrepresentations? I'll get off the air. You have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless.
One can only dream. Thank you, Jerry. God bless you. And thank you, all of you, for listening this morning. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday, the last Monday of 2013. We'll be back on tomorrow morning at 8:06. Ride the horse for 3 hours. Thank you, Gina. Thank you, everybody, for your kind calls. Appreciate it. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow. The way things were, the way things ought to be.